Welcome to Your Biz, Your Rules, the podcast for business-minded go-getters hosted by me, your favourite brain and biz coach, Daire Paddy. This is the spot for those of you ready to blend heart and head, woo and do, income and impact, change and chill, and so much more. So grab yourself a cuppa and let's get started. Welcome to episode 202 of Your Biz, Your Rules. In this show, I'm going to be sharing some of the steps that I've been taking to have a really leisurely year in 2022. The very best part is that every single thing that I'm going to be sharing today is something that you can choose to implement too, if you are just as invested in having a chill year as I am. And I'm sure that lots of you listening are. Now, let's jump straight in. You don't need me to record some preamble about how stressful this time of year can be because you're already living that. So let's dive in with tip number 1. So don't feel pressurized to start too early. It can be very easy, let's say, to fall into the new year hype, to get caught up in what other people are doing, to think that you're working against the clock and that you need to be sharing your new programs that will help people hit their goals right from the 1st of January. And if you're feeling inspired to do that, go ahead. But if you're not, please just don't. I know that's not been me this year. Maybe in previous years it has been, but this year I knew I wanted some more space, some more time, some more chill. So I gave that to myself. I know that I am not running a race against anybody else. So I don't need to be looking at what they're doing. I don't need to be paying attention to these kind of arbitrary trends in terms of product promotion, because I can do what I want when I want. And that is something that I've had to really train myself to believe, because it hasn't always been the case for me. But something that I really try to drum into my brain this time around is that I don't have to start too early. So what that means is, number 1, I gave myself a couple of extra days off after I knew Tom would be going back to work. So when I was planning my time off, I gave myself a buffer of 2 days just so I could have some alone time, some solo time to just chill, to release anything that has been irritating me over the holidays, to just get back to center and get emotionally ready for being back at work. Because when I'm at work, I am there, I'm invested, I'm engaged, I don't faff around. So I knew that I would want those couple of days just to chill out a little bit beforehand. And I also really liked the idea of giving myself a very short first week back. So I actually started with a 2-day work week. So I worked that first Thursday and Friday, and then I had a weekend again because I knew I wanted to ease my way back into work mode. And you get to do that too. And I'm talking very much about like work versus holiday right now, but we can look at this in terms of goals and priorities too. Because it can feel very tempting to be like, it's the first of the year, so I need to know what all of my goals are and where I'm going and what I'm doing and blah, 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 blah. And that's not the case. Like, yes, if you are so crystal clear on what you want to work on over the course of the year, from the moment the clock chimes 12, then congratulations, you win, okay? You win. If you are not that person, if you are not sure what you want your focus to be, if you are not sure where you want to put your time and energy right away, that's okay. The first of the year is one time when you can set goals, but do you want to know when else you can set goals? The other 364 days. So don't feel under pressure just because it's New Year's to set goals, to set intentions, to decide on all of the changes you're going to be making in your life, in your business. It's just not necessary. It adds all of this unnecessary stress to an already full life. So let's move on to step number 2. Give your workspace a good clean. And I know this sounds like such a surface level thing, but give your workspace a good clean and rejig some of the visuals you've got going on. Now, I like to sort of give my office a surface level clean every Sunday because it gives me just that fresh notebook feeling when I can sit down with a clean desk on a Monday morning. But every year, before I come back to work after the holidays, I like to go a little bit deeper. So last year, that was redecorating. So I like painted my office, we fixed the skirting boards, we fixed the floor, like all of those things. This year I wanted to do like a thorough sort out and clean because I've got some furniture in here. So I've got some shelves, some cabinets, some other bits and pieces that has kind of become secret dumping ground. So I've just been shoving things out of my eye line and putting them inside different cabinets. So I took some time to really sort through everything. So I cleared everything off every shelf and reorganized them. I cleaned out all of my desk drawers and again reorganized them. I emptied my filing cabinet, which was a job and a half, and really reorganized that. And then I gave everything a good clean, a good polish, and got it all feeling clean and smelling great. And then I looked at some of the more visual elements in my office because I don't know about you, but when I switch things up visually, it just gives me this new lease of energy, this new level of inspiration. And that's really what I want to be welcoming in at the start of a new year. And this doesn't mean you have to do anything big or time consuming or expensive. It could be as simple as if you've got artwork up on the walls, just moving the order of your artwork. If you have plants in your office, moving how they're displayed or putting them in different pots. If you have bookshelves, it might be reordering your books so they look different. It might be cleaning off your flat surfaces and creating different crystal grids or little altar spaces if that's something that you do. It might be having a couple of different items on your desk or moving things around so you're like looking at things from a different angle. Just making these little tweaks visually can make such a difference. Another thing that I like to do is switch out the rug in my office. So I've got a few rugs in my house, and every now and again I will just switch out the one that's in my office and it makes the room feel different. Another way that I like to create this point of difference is with scents. So I have like my go-to like incense and essential oils and all of those, but if I want to feel different, I'll switch out the scents that I use and it does that for me. And it sounds so silly and not work related at all, but honestly, if you put some attention into your physical environment, then the time you spent in it just feels so different. So the third tip to help you have a super leisurely year in 2022 is to really figure out how you want to feel this year and get support to help specifically with that. And I already said that you don't have to set goals right away. It's not that. I'm talking about just the fluffier stuff. Like, how do you want to feel? I've used the word leisurely in the title of this episode. So maybe that's how you want to feel this year. Maybe you want to feel steady. Maybe you want to feel energized. Maybe you want to feel focused. Maybe you want to feel like you have momentum. You don't have to put too much pressure on these words. You're allowed to change your mind. But right now, how is it that you want to feel? And once you're clear on that, just ask yourself, how can you get support to help with that? So for me, like, I have leisurely and I also have like spacious. That's another way that I want to feel, and I also want to feel energized. So I ask myself, what makes me feel each of these things? So I know that breath work really helps. So if I do like a proper breath work session a couple of times a month, then that really changes the way I feel day to day. So I found a membership that offers 2 long breathwork workshops every single month, and I signed up for it. And there were a few other bits and pieces that I did too, but that's a really clear example of figuring out what support you need by basing it on how you want to feel. And it's really helpful if you can be aware of your own patterns and problem areas here. So if you know that you have a tendency to overwork, for example, that might give you some insight. If you know that you have a tendency to avoid sleep, if you know that you have a tendency to get short-tempered, if you know you have a tendency to eat foods that make you feel like crap, if you know you have a tendency to get pulled into other people's drama, like these are all helpful things to note when deciding what support you're going to give yourself this year. And it might be support in terms of delegating, it might be support in terms of like spiritual guidance or energy support, it might be a business coaching. Like there are so many different things and different ways that you can interpret this, but have a little think about what would make you feel in a more leisurely state in 2022. My next tip is to set intentions for January instead of the whole year. I don't know about you, but sometimes it can feel a little bit pressure fueled to try and decide what I'm going to want for the whole year. Because let's be real, every time I've done that in the past, I've changed my mind partway through the year and then I feel bad about changing my mind. And that's frankly ridiculous. So just give yourself permission to set intentions just for January, knowing that you can always add to this later, you can change your mind, you can decide what you want for the whole year at a later point. Now, something that I've found really helpful in the past is to choose one new habit in January that will make me feel like I'm making a little change, that will be picking up some momentum. So in previous years, like these have often been nothing to do with work, things like stop biting my nails, read 10 pages every day, stop buying books, because I had a bit of a book buying problem for a while, journaling every day, reduce the sugar I have in my tea. So I went from having 2 sugars in my tea to 1 sugar in my tea. Things like that are fairly easy to bring into your life, but the ticking off of the habit gives you that momentum, gives you that boost, makes you feel like you're making progress, even when to you it might seem like you're barely holding on to life. So that's something that I would highly recommend, but really just focusing on intentions for January instead of this whole year. And then when you're ready, when you're settled, you can obviously change your mind, you can add more to the mix. But for now, just get back into the swing of things, because I know that taking time off can lead to a build-up. Like we have loads of emails, we have loads of odd admin bits to do, like we have catch-ups like we need to have with clients, with team, with other people. And so it can feel really chaotic. And if you're trying to balance all of that natural chaos with making magic happen and deciding on all of these big goals, it can just feel like a lot and you can end up feeling really dissatisfied with your output. So again, set intentions for January instead of the whole year. And then this is like a very personal one, but make friends with your slow cooker again. I go through phases of forgetting I have a slow cooker, but it is so helpful, especially in the winter. I can just shove food in there and I know I will have a good meal in the evening. I often get caught up when I'm working and I lose track of time, and then I'll get to this point in the evening where I just crash and I need to eat something immediately or I'm going to turn it into a raging hell beast. But if I've got something in the slow cooker, I can be guaranteed that it's going to fill me up, it's going to be reasonably healthy, it's going to do what I need it to do for my body, and it's not just going to be like carbs and cheese. And especially because I can't eat gluten anymore, like all of the quickest meals involve bread or pasta, unfortunately. So thinking ahead and using my slow cooker is really making sure that I'm feeling good in my body as well as my soul. And then last but not least, when you're ready, when your nervous system feels fine and intact, then start considering the goals you want to bring to life this year. And again, you get to change your mind at any point. So you get to decide you no longer want something. You get to tweak things. You get to pivot things. You get to add more to the mix. This is your business. These are your rules. I say it in my podcast name. But the reason that I'm bringing this up now is I want you to know that you can really choose your goals in a way that feels good, in a way that supports the way you want to live. And what I mean by that is your goals do not have to be big and flashy just because those things look good. They can be. But if your goal is to, I don't know, have 5-hour work days this year instead of 10-hour work days, it might sound relatively small, but if that's the dream, that's the dream. If you just want to be able to afford to do all of your food shopping at Waitrose, that can be your goal. That can be your goal. It doesn't have to be about 10k months. It doesn't have to be about taking 3 months off over the summer. And at the same time, it can be. You don't have to feel guilty for wanting those things. You get to have your goals be whatever it is that you want. And I want to briefly invite you along to something in this section. So I've decided to run a live round of the Unshakable Goal System, which it's a program that I've run since 2019, and I've done it in various formats to date. So I've done it a few times as like a full day intensive. I've had it be a self-study audio program, and now I want to re-record everything and do it a little bit of a different way. So now it's going to be like a 21-day accelerator that includes some group coaching, some bonus workshops, some embodiment exercises, and really blends together a lot of the updated like tools and methodologies that I've created over the past year or two. And I'm going to be running a live round of this starting on January 24th. And everybody who has signed up to this in the past, in whichever format they came along to, will get a complimentary ticket to attend the live round. If that's not you, if you have never signed up for Unshakable Goals, but you kind of like the sound of it, then you are more than welcome to come along too. I'll pop the link in the show notes so that you can easily click on through and take a look. But it's definitely worth your while if you've not yet felt that fizzle of excitement about what this year could hold. So no pressure, take a look. If you fancy it, come along. If you have questions, DM me on Instagram and we can talk about whether it's the right fit for you. Anyway, moving on, let's talk about your challenge for this week. So your challenge for this week is to choose one of the tips that I've mentioned in this episode and implement it. Simple. Bonus points if you share your exploits on Instagram and tag me, because I always love to see what you guys are up to. But whichever of these speak to you, just run with that. If it's that you want to delay your start date, if it's that you want to give your workspace a good clean and rejig some of those visuals, if it's that you want to focus on how you want to feel this year and book in some support, if it's that you just want to set some intentions for January instead of the whole year, if it's that you want to choose one simple habit to give you that little boost, if you want to make fun friends with your slow cooker again, or if it's that you want to join the Unshakable Goal System, just choose one, run with it, and have yourself a leisurely 2022. And I just want to affirm something before you go. You do not need help setting goals. If you're capable of having thoughts and of wanting something, you're capable of setting goals without outsider input. That's not what the Unshakable Goal System is about, not really. It's about helping you be and do exactly what you want to be and do without overextending yourself or resorting to tactics you hate. Consider this your official invite to the next live round, which, as I said, starts on January 24th. And again, if you've signed up in the past, you will be receiving a separate email with your complimentary ticket. But if not, the link to join us is in the show notes. Now, spoiler alert, in next week's episode, I'm going to be talking about everyone's favourite thing about January, planners. Specifically, the planner hacks that help keep my vibe generally high all year round. So make sure you've hit that subscribe button if you don't want to miss out. See you next time. Thank you for listening to Your Biz, Your Rules. I know that we all like to listen to podcasts, watch videos, read articles or books or posts on Facebook and not really do anything with that information. So I want to challenge you right now. I want to challenge you to take something from this episode, anything, and use it to spark action. Use it to activate some kind of change in the way you work and the way you live. Do yourself this service today. And tell me all about it on Instagram. Hop over, shoot me a DM or share an Instagram story showcasing what action you are taking thanks to this episode. And of course, do all of the usual things. Subscribe, leave a review, let me know how much you love the show. And I will be back with you next week.